That's it. Have you ever not survived impressions? Have any of your experiences ever been anything more than impressions?
No.
All impressions. Pardon?
Is an impression the same as perception?
No. An impression is the information you get that goes into you first. You feel it, you sense it, you realize it like a thought, an idea, an image in your mind, or a feeling. It's an impression. Somebody might yell across the yard and you hear them. That's an impression. You open your eyes and your mind gets filled with all the impressions of your environment. If you're watching television, you're absorbing lots of impressions. We all prefer good impressions. Is there anything that is not good? We're going to get caught here. This is good. Impressions are the meat of our life. Without them, how would you have anything called realization? And you're going to be trustworthy, and you're not going to judge me. Then you got to know, what is it that I wouldn't want you to judge? My impression. It's just an impression. I took my son out one day to the beach, and he wanted to know what I was teaching. And I said, yeah, I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm going to teach people about God. He goes, but Dad, don't they already know about God? I said, well, some of them do, but they don't know him well. He said, well, don't they talk to God like we do? And I said, no. He said, well, what are you going to teach them? And I said, well, look at the sky. And I got him to look up at the sky. We have a beautiful sky over a lake, and it seems very private, so we call it our sky. And I said, when you look at the sky, what does it make you think of? He said, sky. I said, oh, Michael, that's perfect. And I was so happy. I taught him how to read clouds after. But he had the right idea. I knew my son was sane. Because when he looked at the sky, he knew what it was. And then I said, now close your eyes. What do you see in your mind? He said, the sky. I said, oh. I said, now get another picture in your mind. I named them some things. I said, your mom. You got a picture of her playing with some of his friends. I gave him a whole list of things. By the time we were done, I realized, he didn't have any adverse reactions to any images in his mind. There was no reason for him to be unhappy at all, because there were no mental images that he was unhappy with. Now, how many of you have pictures in your mind sometimes that you go, oh, get out of there. How'd that get there? Ooh, I don't want to think that. Turn that TV off. I can't stand that picture. I'll get used to it. This course is about getting used to the idea that the universe talks to us in the form of impressions. And if you don't realize that simple reality, you won't be able to understand the next stage, which is that you talk to yourself all day long and you use mental impressions. You talk to yourself all day. That's another quality of impression. Your feelings are involved in your thinking, which kind of shapes the pictures you get in your mind. So in reality, if you look at all of your instruments, the most fundamental thing you do in your life is you talk to yourself at a highly impressionable rate, to the point where it's almost auto-suggestive. Let me explain what that means. How many of you can say to yourself, shut up, and make it stop? You don't talk to you can actually quiet yourself. And how long can you do that? Seconds? Okay, that's honest. I like that. I'm glad we're being honest here. Yes?
With meditation.
In meditation, that's one of the things we learn. That in meditation, if you can quiet yourself, there's some value behind acquiring that talent. Do you know what it is? After you quiet yourself long enough?
Go into the gap, and that's where all new ideas are born.
That's right. But if you quiet yourself and you quiet your mind, you end up with a couple of results. One,
equal to an 8-hour sleep if you do 20 minutes.
Well, there's rejuvenation to it, yes. But let's talk about the mind itself. Most people don't realize that their mind runs their life. If you can quiet your mind, you get control over your mind. A steady mind is a very important thing. You see Buddhists sitting in their temples or in their monasteries doing it all day. Being present is what we want to do. It's not easy if you don't know how to do it. Once you've learned how to do it, then your thoughts, your mind, the images you see, some of the symbols that represent your thoughts, all of your accountability, everything you realize comes under your guiding control, under your willful control. And that's an eventuated stage of consciousness. They used to say that if you could stop your thought long enough, even for just a few seconds, that between your thoughts, there's this state called consciousness. But you don't know what it is until you stop it long enough. Now I know if you've had 10 years of meditating, and you stop thinking even just for 2 seconds at a time, but you do it 10 times a night, after a few years, you'll get a sense of what I call the continuity principle. How many know what that is? A sense that there's a continuum, that you're inherently in charge of your thoughts, but you sense a continuum in your consciousness. That's one of the other things you're going to be able to achieve in this course. What I call the continuity principle. The sense and knowledge that before you die, you'll have a continuous form of conscious awareness that will follow you beyond this life into the afterlife, that will save you the journey of what we call the in-between. The drama of having to resolve yourself and recover yourself and to come back to this world on many occasions is within your control. Most of the schools of thought in this world, including what I call the tantric sciences, the Buddhists, and others, believe and have proven it over time that through their own studies it's very possible to prepare for the afterlife. In fact, in doing so, that's the only way they've learned how to live. So by attempting to discover what it is that they're going to go through, they focus on training themselves not to be allured, not to be drawn in to some sleepy impression, some dramatic emotional thing that you'd like to think, something that's unresolved. If you sat down, closed your eyes at nighttime sitting at home, what kind of thing would you normally think about? What are your habits of dreaming? What kinds of things do you dream? Anybody?
I dreamt about a couple, and they were called the Yellow People, and they were really, really sick. This was just last night. And somebody called me from an on-call service that I work for, and they said that I didn't have to do my normal job, that I could go, there was a request from the Yellow People that I'd met at a restaurant 2 nights before, and I could join them for dinner.
Wow, so what did you get from that?
That I was going to be preparing 2 souls into their transition.
In your process?
Into their process. I don't know why they were yellow though.
I don't know either.
That was their last name, Yellowman.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. I was sleeping in yellow sheets.
Okay. As a basic habit though, what do you daydream about during your day? I used to daydream about my mortgage,
That's not
raising my son, the people that I had dealt with earlier in the day that I needed to think about longer, their issues, my issues, my family, and fantasy, of course. I used to imagine and daydream fantasies. How many of you have done that? Now, ask yourself right now, when you decide to use your mind to think what you want to think, how often do you do that? How often is it intentional? That you decide, I'm going to think this, and then you start to think it. Versus, you're just thinking something, you end up going with it, and wonder, well, why was I thinking that?